I attempted a hardcore Nuzlocke of the new Pokémon Brilliant Diamond. No additional challenges this time, just regular hardcore Nuzlocke rules. That way I can focus on seeing all my favorite Gen 4 Pokémon in brilliant 3D. Hi there little guy, you're so cute. Aw, you're mad. The hardcore Nuzlocke rules are listed here, but in short, I can only catch the first Pokemon on each route, and if it dies, I must release it. I have a level cap for each gym, I can't use items in battle, and I must play on set mode. For most of my challenge runs, I do a ton of planning, and I'm not really going to be doing that for this, but I'm also not doing a fully blind run. I will be looking at some walkthroughs and some trainer sheets. Essentially, I'm just trying to enjoy my first playthrough of the game. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you should. I do lots of Nuzlocke challenges, and usually,
I do them quickly.
This is a quick Nuzlocke of Pokémon Brilliant Diamond. I name myself Quick, and decide to leave my Switch undocked on the floor before I leave? Good God, what is wrong with me? My rival and I head over to Lake Verity, where we're attacked by birds the size of our heads. Even though I love both Turtwig and Piplup, I decide to go with Chimchar, primarily because there is exactly one other fire Pokemon in this region. I name him Carrot, and a plus speed minus defense nature is great. After Lucas shows me how to catch a Pokemon, the Nuzlocke can officially start. On Route 201, I catch a Bidoof, and on Route 202, I catch a Shinx, which sadly does not have Intimidate. I name Shinx Blueberry, and it has an alright nature. As a general note, I won't be showing every encounter for this run, only the important ones. I make it to Jubilife City and take on the kids at the trainer school. I've seen enough memes about these Abras with Charge Beam, so I'm able to survive. Blueberry can handle my rival fight basically all by himself, and I try to delay my Route 203 encounter, which I am able to do. I make it to Oreburgh City, get the Great Ball, and catch a Machop on Route 207, who I name Artichoke. I go to the mine to watch Rourke punch some rocks, and go back to Route 203 for my encounter, and I get what I was hoping for, an Abra, who I catch and name Branana. I also get what I was hoping for on Route 204, a Budew, who I catch and name Honeydew. Just before Rourke, my Carrot evolves into its fighting evolution, Monferno. It's time to take on Rourke and his rock Pokemon. Luckily, the game decided to give Chimchar Power-Up Punch, which raises your attack by one stage after you hit. Geodude just uses Stealth Rock, and I can knock it out with a second Power-Up Punch, and now I'm at +2 attack. I do the exact same thing to Rourke's Onix, only taking an incredibly weak Rock Throw in between. A second Power-Up Punch knocks out Onix, and now I'm at +4 attack. Rourke's final Pokemon Cranidos is pretty scary, or it would be if I wasn't at +4 attack and had a priority move. Power-Up Punch this early is pretty good. After the battle, Blueberry evolves into Luxio. I take out the grunts in Jubilife City, work my way up Route 204, and reach Floaroma Town. Then I head east to the Valley Windworks, where my encounter is Shellos. I catch him and name him Pomegranate. I beat the grunts outside the Valley Windworks building and in the Floaroma Meadow. Next, I take on this Annabelle doll come to life, who usually is a challenging fight. Against the Zubat, I start with a taunt so it can't confuse me. I use the not very effective Power-Up Punch on Zubat just so I can set up for Purugly, since without Supersonic, Zubat isn't really a threat to me. I continue using Power-Up Punch against Zubat and taking its weak hits. When it shakes off the taunt, I just use Taunt again, and eventually I knock it out, getting to +4 attack. Against Purugly, I have to take its Fake Out, since that move's +3 priority is better than my Mach Punch +1 priority. But I guess I was concerned I still wouldn't knock out Purugly, and take an unnecessary scratch before knocking it out with Power-Up Punch. Cheryl and I make our way through the Eterna Forest, headed towards Eterna City, where it's time to take on the second gym leader, Gardenia, and her Grass-type Pokemon. Gardenia starts with Cherubi, who I use as my setup Pokemon. Power-Up Punch will be a 2-hit KO, and Cherubi just goes for Safeguard. With my boosted attack, I safely knock out Cherubi. Now, against Turtwig with my +2 attack, I can outspeed and knock it out with one Flame Wheel, and do the exact same thing to Gardenia's Roserade. I'll stop relying on this strategy from here, since it's not that exciting to watch content-wise, but you should know for your own Nuzlockes that picking Chimchar will allow you to solo everything through the first 2 gyms. In the old chateau, I caught a Gastly, who I think might be my favorite Pokemon design in this game. I absolutely love the way the mist around Gastly was drawn. The game won't let me name her Grapes, so I try to circumvent their language check and... What? The error is that I can't use that character? If that's the case, then why is it even here? Naming her Grop is apparently fine though. Taking on Jupiter's Skuntank that knows Flamethrower is a little bit scary, but Pomegranate can take those really well and allows us to win the fight without too much trouble. After the fight, Honeydew evolves into Roselia. Now I need to go back to Orberg through the cycling road, and then over to Hearthome City through Mount Coronet. On my way, I get a few encounters. A Ponyta, who I name Raparadish, a Bronzor named Pear, and a Honeytree encounter in Floroma Meadow, which, unfortunately, just turns out to be a Wurmple. Finally, we make it to Hearthome City. The best part about this is that after visiting Amity Square, you can walk around with your Pokemon in the overworld, and that also means insane collision physics. Oh my god, Shellos is so slow. I take out my rivals team once again with no issues. On Route 209, I get a 5% Chansey encounter, and catch her, naming her Eggplant. The team is looking good so far. Oh my god, look at that precious Chansey. Oh my god, she's jumping. Did that guy take my Oh, okay. Now we're in Salacion Town, and the goal is to get to Veilstone City. On Route 15, just before Veilstone City, you have to fight Ace Trainers Dennis and Maya. This is a double battle, which is always tougher than a single battle, and Dennis has a level 23 Gyarados. I really should have checked my trainer sheet, because if I did, I would have learned that Gyarados knows Waterfall, which absolutely decimates Chansey, who, of course, has no defense. Damn you guys and your completely different reactions to this battle. So, I sadly march along to Veilstone City, and send Chansey to a nice farm upstate, just like my parents did with all our family pets. On Route 214, I encounter a Girafarig, who I catch and name Giraffa-Fig. In the Valor Lakefront, I find a Staravia, who actually has Intimidate. I catch her and name her Starberry. Now it's time to prep for the third gym, and Blueberry evolves into Luxray. During the gym battles, I also played it a little too fast and loose, and a trainer's Machoke got a crit on me, knocking out Artichoke. It's time to take on the third gym leader, Maylene, and her fighting Pokemon. Maylene starts with Meditite, and I send out Branana. Branana is super fast, so it outspeeds Meditite and knocks it out with one Psyshock. He does the exact same thing to her second Pokemon, Machoke. And finally, Maylene has Lucario. Psyshock will be a 2-hit KO against it, but I honestly didn't expect Metal Claw to do that much damage. We escaped a crit there, but successfully knock out Lucario and get the third badge. In the Ruin Maniac Cave, I catch a Hippopotas, naming it Hippotato. I make it down and around to Pastoria City, so I can take on the fourth gym leader, Crasher Wake. The level cap for this gym is level 30, just as it was for the last gym, so I intentionally kept my experience low for that first fight. Even though I did that planning ahead of time, I still found myself in an incredibly awkward situation. You see, the puzzle in this gym is set up in a way that when you get to a certain point, you're actually stuck and can't go backwards anymore. The only way out is to go forward through the puzzle, but to do that, you have to take on gym trainers. Honeydew was so close to overleveling, and I had no way to get her back in the box. As a grass type, she's also essential for this fight. So I was pretty much screwed here. There was only one thing I could do, and it was a huge reach. I take on the last gym trainer, Sailor Samson, and send out all of my Pokemon against each of his Pokemon, non-stop switching just to share as much EXP as possible. His final Pokemon comes out, and Pear knocks it out, and Honeydew scrapes by. Let's hope all of that nonsense was worth it as we take on Crasher Wake. Wake sends out Gyarados, and I send out Blueberry. Gyarados' Intimidate lowers my attack, and even though Blueberry is a physical attacker, that's okay, because I won't be going for a physical attack here. I take a Crunch from Gyarados, which is perfectly safe, and launch a Volt Switch, which knocks out Gyarados. This allows me to immediately switch into Roselia, and just what I was hoping for, Wake sends out Quagsire. A super effective Giga Drain knocks out Quagsire. Last, Wake sends out Floatzel. And because Floatzel knows an ice move, I don't want Honeydew to be out. So I switch into Blueberry, and that was a good call since Floatzel goes for Ice Fang. Blueberry is perfectly safe to one more Ice Fang, and then uses Volt Switch to knock out Floatzel. And just like that, we've defeated Crasher Wake. After that, Pomegranate evolves into Gastrodon, who is still extremely slow. Oh, I love walking with your Pokemon so much. It just appeared in the middle of the cutscene. We finally make it through the fog and into Celestic Town. How big is Hoot Hoot supposed to be? Because this thing looks enormous. Yeah, it's only 2 feet tall. What's going on here? I go back to the Lost Tower and catch a Murkrow, who I name Blackberry. And Carrot evolves into his final evolution, Infernape. Alright, time to take on the 5th gym leader, Fantina, and her ghost Pokemon. She sends out Drifblim, and I send out Blueberry. Even though Drifblim has the Aftermath ability, which hurts you if you make contact to kill a Pokemon, I decide to go for Spark since it might one-hit KO, but unfortunately, it does not. As Fantina heals up, I make a mistake and use Volt Switch, which doesn't kill, and now I have to switch out. I go into Starberry, who can't be hit by ghost moves. Starberry outspeeds Drifblim to knock it out with Aerial Ace, although does take damage from Aftermath. Next is Gengar, who does way more damage than I expected with Sludge Bomb, and Aerial Ace would be a 2-hit KO. Unfortunately, I'm slower than Gengar, so I need to switch. To be super extra safe, I decide to just sack Blackberry, and that way I can get a safe switch in to Blueberry. Gengar confuses me, but I do manage to hit through, although for some reason I didn't go for Bite, so Volt Switch didn't kill Gengar, and now I have to send someone else out. I send Starberry out, Fantina heals up, and I hit with Aerial Ace to put me in the exact same situation I was in like 3 turns ago, although Gengar's attack is lowered from Intimidate. I switch Pomegranate into a not very effective Sludge Bomb, then Gengar confuses me, but I do hit through again and knock it out with Surf. Mismagius knows Magical Leaf, so I switch into Starberry, who can take that. But then Mismagius confuses me, and I do hit myself in confusion. Then I decide to just sack Starberry. I'm not really sure what I was thinking. Dazzling Gleam doesn't hurt too bad, and Bite will be a 2-hit KO against Mismagius. But then surprisingly it goes for Confuse Ray, and I hit myself in confusion. In a bewildering move, I don't switch out and thankfully hit through confusion. This was an insanely sloppy fight, which was likely due to the fact that I have been playing for about 12 hours straight at this point. Pretty rough, but we do get the 5th badge. The next part of our journey takes us far west to Canalave City, where I defeat my rival yet again. The other thing to do here is to go through the 6th gym. As I'm doing this, Hippotato evolves into Hippowdown. Also, I decide to do the Iron Island side quest to train up for the gym, and while I'm there, I catch a Steelix, who I name Chixpea, which at the time I thought was a clever play on the word chickpea, and now I hate myself. The 6th gym leader is Byron and his Steel-type Pokemon. Using a classic strategy from earlier in the game, I came up with a really good plan for this fight. Byron sends out Bronzor, and I send out Carrot. Bronzor's moveset indicates that he will try to confuse you and then set up Trick Room, so all of Byron's slow Pokemon will get to go first. I don't want to deal with any of that, so I use Taunt on Bronzor. Then I set up a Stealth Rock, which will help me later in the fight. The only attacking move Bronzor has is Flash Cannon, which does nothing to Carrot. Now, I start setting up using Power Up Punch, and whenever Bronzor shakes off the taunt, I just taunt it again. I knock out Bronzor, getting to +3 attack. Byron sends out Steelix next, and the Stealth Rock breaks Steelix's Sturdy. At +3, Close Combat annihilates Steelix. And I don't care that my defense and special defense were lowered, because Bastiodon comes out, the stones break its Sturdy, and I use Close Combat to knock it out and get the 6th gym badge. Next, I take out Commander Mars at Lake Verity, and make my way up to Snow Point City, catching a Sneasel on the way, who I name Sweeve Potato. At the Snow Point Gym, we find Candace and her ice Pokemon. Side note, but these screens for the gym leaders look so empty. It would be so much better if they just put their name on it. Whatever, tangent over. Candace starts with Snover, and I send out Carrot. Because of its times 4 weakness to fire, Snover goes down with 1 Flame Wheel. Next out is Sneasel, and because it holds a Chopal Berry, which reduces the damage from fighting moves, I need to use Close Combat to knock it out. Next out is Medicham. Why? Doesn't matter. I want to switch into Kadabra, so in order to mitigate the damage, I switch into Hippotato and let Medicham take it out. That gives me a free switch to Banana, who can take Medicham out with 1 Psychic. Last is the 44th President of the United States, Abomasnow. Ideally, Carrot would be in for this, but I'm a bit scared because Abomasnow knows Earthquake. I decide to stay in to see what it does, and Psychic does a good amount of damage, It's looking like it might be a 2-hit KO, but then Abomasnow uses Aurora Veil. So that's definitely no longer the case. I decide to stay in again, and Psychic might be a 2-hit KO from here, but Blizzard destroys me, leaving me at 1 HP because of the friendship mechanic. And then, hilariously, Hail knocks out Banana. It absolutely sucks to see one of my favorite team members go down like that, but it does give me a safe switch into Carrot, who can knock out Abomasnow with 1 Flame Wheel. That's the 7th badge. The next part of the game is all the Team Galactic stuff. Cyrus is here looking like a total dweeb, and Dialga is saying something. Mars and Jupiter are pretty easy because you have all of your rivals' Pokemon to help you too, and Cyrus is pretty easy as well. Now I can take on Dialga myself. Oh my god, is that like its catchphrase or something? Finally, I can make my way into Sunyshore City and take on the final gym leader, Volkner, and his electric Pokemon. Volkner starts with Raichu, and I send out Pomegranate. For some reason, Volkner tries to use Nuzzle, which he should know doesn't affect ground types. Raichu has a Shuka Berry, which reduces the damage from ground moves, but Pomegranate loved me so much he gets a crit, barely keeping Raichu alive. Volkner heals up, but with no Shuka Berry, I can knock out Raichu with 1 Earth Power. Next out is Ambipom. Again, why is this part of the team? It almost exclusively knows normal type moves, so I switch into my Steel Pokemon, Pear, and it's essentially a free switch since Ambipom uses Fake Out. Ambipom's moves are extremely weak against me, and Extra Sensory will be a 2-hit KO. 1 more double hit, and Pear knocks Ambipom out. Volkner sends out Octillery next, so I switch into Blueberry. Octillery goes for Focus Energy, increasing its critical hit rate. This has synergy with its Sniper ability, which does extra damage on critical hits, but Blueberry OHKOs it, so none of that matters. I send Pomegranate out on the Volt Switch, because Volkner only has 1 Pokemon left and I know what to expect. His final Pokemon is Luxray, and Intimidate does nothing to my special attacker. Pomegranate safely takes a crunch and then knocks out Luxray with Earth Power. We now have all 8 badges in Sinnoh. Now it's just a matter of swimming up to the Pokemon League. And I make it through Victory Road with no issues, and make it to the building to take on the Elite Four. I beat my rival one final time and head off to finish preparing for the Elite Four. And that's when this happened.
Oh my god. Shiny Pelipper.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I was pretty far into my prep at that point, so I decided not to bring Shiny Pelipper along to the Elite Four, but I did evolve Sweet Potato into Weevil, and Honeydew into Roserade. So, here's my team for the Elite Four. A few things to note here. The first thing, as I'm sure you can see, Weevil is level 64. While I was grinding, I accidentally overleveled him. With game speed up, it's usually pretty easy to adjust from a mistake like this, but on this game, it would probably take me an additional 3 hours to replan and grind someone else up. Additionally, since I have to keep the experience share on, he's just going to gain a level after I beat the first Pokemon anyway. In the end, I decided to prioritize getting content out, rather than an extremely small detail that will have no effect on the fight. If that bothers you, hey, I totally get it, but I just want to be candid about what happened. Additionally, I chose the level cap based on Lucian's highest level and not Cynthia's. Since the experience share is on, by the time I get to Cynthia, I'll probably be her level anyway. Finally, before I started this run, I really wanted to use some unique Pokemon, and instead my team kinda looks like everyone else's team. The lack of speed up on console games makes this extra tedious, so it made sense to keep using the Pokemon that were higher leveled. I tried to avoid the super common and broken Pokemon like Gyarados, Crobat, and Garchomp, so hopefully using like a Bronzong makes this not a completely chalk team. Okay, now that that's all out of the way, let's review the team. First, we have Carrot the Infernape. He has a good nature and a moveset that allows him to set up for physical attacks, as well as one special attack plus taunt. Next, we have Pomegranate the Gastrodon, a special attacker with high HP. Gastrodon has a suite of special moves as well as Recover. Next, we have Pear the Bronzong. It's a bulky steel Pokemon with a great ability but a bad nature, with 2 attacking moves, 1 setup move, and Stealth Rock to take on any sturdy Pokemon. Next, we have Honeydew the Roserade, a good special attacker with decent stats across the board. She's a Toxic Staller that also knows Petal Dance. Fifth, we have Sweet Potato the Weevil. He's a super fast physical attacker with 3 physical attacks and a setup move. And finally, we have Blueberry the Luxray. a physical attacker that sadly doesn't have Intimidate, but has 2 physical attacks, a pivot move in Volt Switch, and also Substitute. This Elite Four is brutal. The Pokemon all have competitive movesets, relevant items, and they're EV trained. It reminds me a lot of Black and White 2 Challenge Mode. This is going to be a really tough fight, but let's see if we can do it. First up, we have Aaron and his Bug-type Pokemon. In the original Diamond and Pearl, Aaron is kind of a pushover, so let's see if his buffs in this game make a difference. Aaron starts by sending out Dustox, and I send out Carrot. Carrot is holding the Choice Specs, which increase your special attack by 50%. However, you're locked into the first move that you use. For this fight, that should be perfectly fine. Carrot outspeeds and knocks out Dustox with 1 Flamethrower. Next out is Heracross, and Carrot can stay locked into Flamethrower to outspeed and knock it out. Third is Beautifly, and we can do the exact same thing, and we can one-hit KO the Vespiquen as well. Finally, Aaron has Drapion, the only Pokemon that Carrot can't one-hit KO. Carrot is safe to everything except a High-Roll crit Earthquake, so I go for it, and Carrot gets a crit himself. Aw, I love you too. That's a complete sweep of Aaron. Second, we take on Bertha and her Ground-type Pokemon. Bertha starts with Quagsire, so of course I send out Bronzong. I know that's weird, but hear me out. Pear's job is to set up Stealth Rock for later in the fight. This works out great because he can take a Surf from Quagsire completely safely. Now that that's done, I can switch out of Pear and into Honeydew, who is also safe to Surf. Honeydew goes for a Petal Dance, which knocks out Quagsire. Petal Dance is a little tough because it locks you into the move, but for this fight, it should be okay, especially because Whiscash is next, who is also 4 times weak to grass moves. It has a Rindo Berry to minimize the damage, but it's still enough to knock it out. Petal Dance confuses you after 2 or 3 turns, but I have a Persim Berry to account for this. Next out is Pseudo-Widow, and I go for Petal Dance again, knocking out the slow Pseudo-Widow. Golem comes out 4th and is hit by the pointed stones. This breaks it sturdy, and now Petal Dance can one-hit KO. Petal Dance has a chance to end here and confuse me, but luckily, it doesn't. Bertha sends her final Pokemon, Hippowdon, out, and the last turn of Petal Dance knocks it out in 1 hit. A bit of luck on that last turn, but Bertha is defeated. Third, we take on Flint and his Fire Pokemon. Flint starts with Rapidash, and I send out Pomegranate. Rapidash is faster, and surprises me by going for Iron Tail over Hypnosis, which I'm safe to, but does proc the 30% defense drop. Pomegranate Surf is a one-hit KO against it though. Flint has a Lopunny on his team. I'm afraid of Lopunny's Mirror Coat, which has a negative priority and does double the damage back to you. So I switch to Honeydew, and yep, it uses Mirror Coat. Super effective Fire Punch still doesn't do a lot to me, and the best way to counter Mirror Coat is a good old-fashioned Toxic Stall. I'm safe to a crit Fire Punch here, so I stay in and use Synthesis after the Fire Punch, although I do get burned. Now I can rotate between using Protect and using Synthesis to keep myself healthy as Lopunny slowly dies to the toxic poison. Eventually, Lopunny barely lives the poison, causing Flint to heal up. But I take this opportunity to use Petal Dance, which crits. Awesome, right? Wrong. Instead of knocking Lopunny out with 2 Petal Dances, there's now a 100% chance I will use Petal Dance again. Flint saves me though by sending out Steelix, which can be one-hit KO by Petal Dance. And then Petal Dance ends. Phew, that was a bit tricky. Flint sends out Drifblim next, so I switch into Blueberry. Drifblim goes for a Minimize. Drifblim passes the +2 evasiveness over to Infernape through Baton Pass, but Blueberry still hits a Spark that would be a 2-hit KO. Infernape hits a close combat that Blueberry will always live, and Blueberry hits a Spark again to knock out Infernape. Finally, it's just that pesky setup Drifblim, who lowers my attack with Strength Sap, which will affect my Spark, which leaves Drifblim on 1 HP? Wow, that's pretty wild actually. Drifblim goes for evasiveness strats again, but Blueberry hits his Spark, giving us the victory over Flint. The final fight of the Elite Four is against Lucian and his Psychic-type Pokemon. Lucian sends out Mr. Mime, and I send out Carrot. This may seem like an odd choice considering fighting types are weak against psychic types, but, of course, I have a plan. Mr. Mime doesn't see a kill with Psychic, so I'm hoping it uses Reflect or Light Screen. This is because I'm going to taunt it, forcing it to use its damaging moves. The plan works beautifully, as Mr. Mime goes for Light Screen. Now, I can switch into Pear, who can handle both of Mr. Mime's damaging moves perfectly fine. But I make a huge mistake here. Pear can also kill Mr. Mime with 1 heavy slam. Unfortunately, I of course miscounted the number of turns, so I think I have a turn before Taunt runs out. Mr. Mime goes for a Dazzling Gleam, and I use Iron Defense. Mr. Mime shakes off the taunt and of course uses Reflect, which causes Heavy Slam to not kill it. Mr. Mime also sets up a light screen as I try to stall the Reflect and light screen as long as possible. I need to knock it out before it sets them up again, so eventually I do. Lucian sends Medicham out next. Because of all the Iron defenses, Pear should be able to handle everything from Medicham. As long as it doesn't crit, Pear can handle a high jump kick, but because Reflect is still up, Heavy Slam doesn't do that much. I have to risk another crit to switch into Honeydew, who survives regular high jump kicks and can knock out Medicham. Luckily, she doesn't get crit, and after a turn to stall Reflect and Light Screen, Honeydew knocks out Medicham with a Petal Dance. Of course, this means she has to keep using Petal Dance, but amazingly, Alakazam goes for Future Sight, and another Petal Dance does pretty good damage. Unfortunately, Petal Dance doesn't end here, and Alakazam knocks out Honeydew. Reflect and Light Screen are done as I send out Sweeve Potato, who handles a Shockwave from Alakazam, and I start a setup with Swords Dance. Sweeve Potato's Dark type means it can't be hit by any Psychic moves. Now, I can take one more Shockwave and knock out Alakazam with Thief. Lucian sends out Girafarig next, and because of Sweeve Potato's fast speed and its +2 attack, he can knock out Girafarig with one Thief. Finally, Lucian sends out Bronzong, where Sweeve Potato can do the exact same thing. If Petal Dance had just ended after 2 turns instead of 3, we would have a full team, but we're down to 5 team members to take on the final fight. Alright, it's time to take on the most intimidating foe of the run, Cynthia and her beefed up super Pokemon. Cynthia starts with Spiritomb, and I send out Sweeve Potato. Against a dark Pokemon, Spiritomb has 3 weak moves and 1 move that won't work, making Spiritomb an excellent setup Pokemon. I start with a Swords Dance, which raises my attack by 2 stages. Spiritomb goes for Shadow Ball, which does more than I expect, but not a ton. I use Swords Dance again to get up to +4, and another Shadow Ball brings me down to about half health. I'm probably safe to use Swords Dance again, but I do want to preserve some health on Sweeve Potato, so I decide to go for the kill, knocking out Spiritomb with 1 Thief. Cynthia sends out Lucario next, which is the worst case scenario here. At +6, I may be able to kill Lucario, but at +4, I definitely can't. I don't have a ton of great options, so I decide to stay in and sack Sweeve Potato. But guys, he just loves me too much. Thanks, friendship mechanic that no one likes or asked for. It absolutely saves my ass here though, and Sweeve Potato can knock out Lucario. Cynthia sends out Roserade next. Sweeve Potato can O-Coat Roserade with Avalanche, but I may have forgotten that Avalanche is a negative priority move. We'll call it even with the friendship mechanic thing. I send Carrot out, who just barely misses the range on Flamethrower, but luckily the friendship mechanic helps me out here. Cynthia heals up, so I take the opportunity to get to +1 attack, and then knock Roserade out with Flamethrower. Next out is Gastardon, and since my Roserade is dead, this may be a little tricky. Luckily, Bronzong is a pretty good tank for Gastrodon, as most of its moves don't do much, and it can't be hit by ground moves due to Levitate. I work down Gastrodon a bit with Psychic, and eventually Cynthia figures out that she should be using Scald. Luckily, after the crit, one more Psychic can take out Gastrodon. Cynthia has probably her best 2 Pokemon left, sending out Milotic first. I let Milotic take out Pear, so I can get a safe switch into Blueberry. Milotic burns herself to activate her Marvel Scale ability, increasing her defense. I still go for a Spark though, but it doesn't do much. And after Milotic's Scald leaves me with the burn, I definitely can't use physical attacks anymore. That does mean I have to Volt Switch out, but at least I can go to a special attacker in Pomegranate. Milotic starts recovering now, which it will continue to do. Cynthia and I do a dance now, where Milotic uses Recover, and I use Earth Power to knock her down to about where she was before. This goes on for a bit, before I get a special defense drop with Earth Power, which is huge. Eventually, Cynthia either gives up or runs out of Recover PP, and Pomegranate takes out Milotic. Time for Cynthia's scariest Pokemon, Garchomp. Garchomp is lightning fast, so Pomegranate really can't do anything here. I let Garchomp take out Pomegranate. Blueberry is also too slow to do anything, so I'm hoping for a Friendship Focus Sash, but it doesn't happen. That means it's all up to Carrot. Unfortunately, this is not a good matchup for me. Carrot is fast, but I think Garchomp is faster, and unfortunately, I'm right. Earthquake is a fatal blow, but Carrot hangs on to launch a close combat, which still isn't enough. Garchomp's rough skin takes out Carrot, and we wipe to Cynthia. That was so freaking close. After all this time and effort to go out like this, God, it hurts. It really hurts. I absolutely made my fair share of mistakes during that Elite Four run. But at the end of the day, I'm proud I made it that far against an Elite Four that is really, really tough. One day, I'll take this Elite Four on again, but I need some time. Well, there you have it. That was my first Brilliant Diamond Hardcore Nuzlocke run. I'll certainly be playing this game again in the future, likely with a twist or with additional rules. Overall, I really enjoyed the game and all its imperfections. Thank you so much for watching and for making it this far into the video. If you enjoyed this, it would mean the world to me if you liked the video, left a comment, or subscribed to the channel if you aren't already. That's all I gotta say. Bye bye. This has been a quick Nuzlocke of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Thank you so much for watching.